Well, hello all. My name's Rob Lewis. I'm one of the practice and portfolio coaches. And in this short video, just a primer on Excel. In this case, it's Microsoft Excel 2016. So we're just looking a bit at the basics, what to expect as a beginner, particularly looking at the formulas that we can put into Excel to make our job easier when we're doing calculations or adding up figures or doing profit and losses and budgets and so on. So when you open up Excel, the basics are very similar functionality to Word. Across the top, you've got the ribbon, home, insert, page layout, formulas, and so on. You've got your usual fonts. You can bold, underline, italics, whatever text you put in these cells as well. So down the bottom here, workbooks are one of the features of Excel, or spreadsheets, I suppose you could say. So we got here sheet number 1. If we wanted to delete that, right click on that, hit the delete. You can rename this as well. So I might want to rename that. Instead of being sheet 1, I can call this profit and loss perhaps. In the next one, I've got the budget there, so I just call that one profit and loss. And if I want to add any more worksheets, just hit the plus sign there, and it opens up with sheet number 1. Right click on that, delete that if you want to as well. So those tabs along the bottom means that you can have quite a lot of worksheets open. You can rename them, and you can delete those worksheets or those tabs as well. Excel itself is divided up into columns and rows. We've got the columns down here, the rows going across, labelled 1 through to quite a large number. And within each, intersecting the rows and the columns are what's known as the cells. For example, here, in this cell here, B2, I've just put the word test in there. You can put anything you want. At the moment, that's just got a word in there. I can have numbers, for example 3, put another number 5, and using the powers of Excel, I can then add those numbers if I want to as well. And it's very simple just to use the Excel formula, that process to add those numbers. When building formulas, you use the references of these of the intersection of these rows and these columns. For example, here we've got the reference of 3 is in column C and row 19. The number 5 is C and 20. So I want to add those together. I start my formula off with, always started off with the equal sign. So what does that equal? If I want to add them together, I use the sum. Sum, open the brackets, and what I've got there, C19, and add C20. Close my brackets and hit the enter. So now I've added those two numbers together to be 8. If I click in there and go up here, you can see that the formula in the formula bar is the formula that I've entered. I can also add that a bit easier as well, rather than doing it by hand. Let me delete that out of here. I can use the auto sum up here. So if I highlight those two numbers and just click auto sum, it automatically adds those numbers and places it there. As you can see, it's done the same thing as what I've just done manually. Just made it a bit easier to click on there. And that little function is quite handy. If you click on the down arrow, you can see other functions there, like average. You can count. You can put the maximum and the minimum. Click in there, and you get more functions as well, which I can see more functions there to do. So the format of that is it's based on referential cells and using those formulas to do some mathematical operation on what may be in those particular cells. So let's have a look at a document that I prepared earlier, which is the one you can see there now. I've just done some a quick budget, rent, office supplies, and so on, a month of January, February, March, and a total which I've left blank because I'll fill that in just a moment. I can't quite see all what's in this column B, so I can expand out to see what the text is by just clicking here and just making it a bit wider, and now I can see in detail what's in there. If I want to align that a bit better, I can highlight that and perhaps align it to be in the middle of those columns. And there we have that there. At the moment, that text, those numbers there are simply text entered in, and I want to make them tell Excel that they are actually dollars. So I highlight all those figures. I can do it up here in the general and say that it's actually currency. Or I can just click on the dollar sign to show that it's actually formatted as currency. And now it's put the dollar sign there, dollars and cents format. So I want to total up what rent is for January, February and March. I suppose the easiest way to do that is to highlight that and hit the auto sum. And it puts it there into the next available cell. If you click in there, you can see what it's done. It's summed up C5 through to E5. You've got the colon here, which means that take anything between C5 and E5 and add them up and put it there. Do the same again. Auto sum that. Auto sum that. And you see there, I've got the hash there. It just means that there's quite a larger number in there. If I open that column up a bit wider, I'll be able to see what that number is. I don't want to be here all day doing that, so perhaps the easiest thing to do is to just highlight that, and I can fill that down as well, which then automatically sums up the rest of them. If you click in there, you'll see what it's doing. It's summing up C8 through to E8 and so on. And then if I wanted to get some totals, highlight that, sum that. Whoops. Let me just go back there and fix that up. It didn't like that. I can do it manually too if it plays up. Just go equal sum, open the commas, open the brackets, sorry, and that'll be F5 through to F12. So that's one way of getting around it if it's not doing exactly what you want it to do as well. And now I've summed up that column. So a good demonstration of different ways to do it. If I want to get some other numbers there as well, perhaps I want to get averages, perhaps. What's the average for the rent over those 3 months? And there's the formula to look at for that. Perhaps go into the formula ribbon and have a look at what is actually available. There's things such as the auto sum one, and there's the average function there. And what that is doing is averaging up all that column there. I don't quite want that. So what I can do is make changes to that particular function as well. Let me just click out of there and go in there and just change that. I want to average C5 through to, just put the colon in, through to March E5. And I don't want to put the total in there because it's going to get my averages out of whack as well. Close my brackets, hit the enter button, and it tells me that the average rent across those 3 months was $200. If I want to do the same, I can, easiest thing to do is perhaps just do an autofill. Go back to the home and fill that down. Now I've got the average of each of the others office supplies. Average is $290 per month. Printing average is $75 per month, and so on. I can also do the minimum and the maximum. If I want to get the minimum, it simply equals min for min, and I'll get the minimum of C between those ranges, C5 to E5. And the minimum was $100, and we can check that and say, yeah, that looks right to me. Not much point with 3 columns, but if you imagine if you've got large numbers of data, you want to get the minimum, you can do that as well. Useful also to label that is the minimum. If I want to find out what the maximum is, I can do that as well. Obviously, if the minimum is min, then the max is going to be max. And as you start typing it, it comes back with what it thinks you're trying to look for as well. Max here returns the largest value in a set of values. I want to get the maximum of rent that I paid. Maximum between the data range of C5 and E5. Put my colon in. And the maximum was 300. So the average was 200, minimum 100, maximum of 300. So some useful formulas you can have a look at there. Have a play around with as well. A number of ways you can do it. I particularly like just putting the formula in by hand, but you can use the use of functions as well to find what else might be there. There's help on the function. Click on the help. It'll open up the necessary files to get into the help configuration. I haven't actually used help on this computer, so it's going to take a while to do that, so I'll just click off that for the moment. So there's in the document I've prepared, there's also quite a large YouTube video, so it's useful to have a look at that as well. It takes you from beginner through to advanced, so have a play around with that. Any questions, put them up on the discussion board, and I can assist you with that as well. But hopefully that's enough to get you started, at least on the first assessment. And I can do some more videos if you require that going forward as well. So thank you. Until then, I'll talk to you a bit later.